Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm really excited to talk about today's topic. What I usually do is I pull a card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes for the energy of the week. So I'll pull one card typically, and that will represent just what I'm really dealing with that week. And sometimes I will create a video based on the information that I receive if I feel like it's something that I should come forward and share with you guys. I do typically will create a video if there's valuable information. And it gave me the idea to come forward and create today's video. So today's video is going to be about the commitments that we make to the divine as well as to our personal practices. And I also wanted to share with you some of my practice specific decks. And what really gave me the idea of this video was I pulled the Ring card from the Wild Unknown Archetypes. And I think that this is just an excellent card. It really was very eye-opening about some of the practices that I repeat. They're core fundamental practices that they really make up my spiritual path. And they're very essential to me. And I'm going to share with you, of course, like I guess the decks aspect of my practices. If you're not new to my channel, I'm sure you're well aware I do practice glamour magic, color magic. If I was to say that I align as, or if I was to label myself, if I was any kind of a witch, I guess I would say I'm an art witch. Glamour witch. There are some aspects of my practice that I guess would follow the line of working with celestial bodies or astrology. So of course there's that aspect of my practice, but I'd say it's fundamentally glamour magic, color magic, working with a lot of color. And I guess in today's video, I'm really just going to share the decks. I think I talk a lot about makeup. I talk enough about makeup. So as I've already started, what really gave me the idea to create this deck list and to share with you the more, I guess, fundamental aspects of my practice, it was the Wild Unknown Archetypes. So I like to pull, as I've already stated, I like to pull one card from this deck. Typically it's one card. I absolutely adore this deck. I think that this is one of the most powerful decks that I have in my collection. And my practice wouldn't be the same without this deck. It's very powerful. It's excellent for spell crafting. Just understanding what archetypes you're walking with in your practice on that given day, or it could be for a more specified time period. And I know I've mentioned this so much on my channel. I love her use of color. If you're new to working with color, this is a great deck to start with because it's just pops of color and it can help you understand color correspondences, even create your own intuitively. It's a great place to start, I think, because of the minimal color. So that is the Wild Unknown Archetypes card deck. Wild Unknown Archetypes Oracle. And I just think that this deck gives such a great weekly outlook energetically, and it can really help you narrow in on the energies that you're dealing with that week. That's why I like to use it. It's excellent for, like I've already said, spell crafting, understanding the archetypal energies that you're walking with on your path, and it's even excellent for creating journal prompts or tarot prompts because it can really narrow in and focus the energies. That's why I absolutely love this deck. It is one that you're going to want to invest time with. You're going to want to get to know this deck, but once you do, you put that investment in, it gives back to you. I'd say 10 times. It's a very powerful deck, and it's one to be respected, honored, and appreciated. Next up, I have the Goddess of Love Tarot. So I've spoken a lot on my channel about this deck. This is becoming one of my favorite decks the more I work with it. This is my self-care, self-love deck. And I've spoken on my channel about how I really struggle with the symbolism in this deck. And I have to say, the past couple of weeks that I've pulled this deck out to do some of my self-care rituals, I'm starting to understand the symbolism finally. So I think this is, at least for me, this is a deck that you're going to want to spend time with. You're going to want to create that connection. The more you pull a card, the more you're going to start to understand the symbolism and the representations. I work with this deck intuitively. It's a very powerful deck. I like to pull a card before I engage in a self-care or self-love ritual. Usually it's exercise, and it just gives me something to focus on. It grounds me into my physical body and my experience. That's why I appreciate this deck, and it has just a very loving energy. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to put yourself first every once in a while. And that's why I appreciate this deck and the energy that it has. So this is the Goddess of Love Tarot. This is mass market. Same with the well-known archetypes. I think I forgot to mention that. Next, I have the Queen Maeve or Queen Mab Oracle. This is Blue Angel, so mass market. It's the larger cardstock. There's nudity in this deck. I've spoken so much on my channel about this deck. This is the deck that I work with Lilith. When I work with this deck, I like to pull a card typically at night at the end of the day. And it's just kind of how I wrap up my day. And I'll typically journal with this deck. This deck is excellent for setting boundaries, taking self-accountability and responsibility for your life. Excellent for releasing trauma, and also just being more aware of yourself, your surroundings, what you need to set boundaries. I haven't been really called to pull from this deck lately, but it is still one of the core decks of my practice. I've worked with this deck a lot over the past couple of months, so I couldn't, this is another deck that I couldn't picture my practice being the same without. It's a very fundamental deck. All of these decks that I'm talking about today are fundamental. I think that they sort of make up a significant aspect of my practice. next up, I've spoken a lot on my channel about these decks. I have 4 of them. They're the Seasons of the Witch series decks. I have the Beltane one, which I have here, the Samhain one. I've been working with the Samhain one the past week. I also have the Letha, and I have the Yule one. So I work with these decks all year round depending on where I am in my cycle, as well as what season of life I'm in, depending on what's going on in my life, what experiences I'm having. I will align it to one of the Seasons of the Witch decks that I have. So I work with them seasonally, as well as I work with them depending on where I am in my menstrual cycle and depending on what's going on in my life. So those are the 3 aspects that I align it to. And I have only 4 of them because I align them with the 4 seasons, if that makes sense. Samhain, to me, that represents the autumn or Halloween. I know that's not typically how it is. I think the Mabin one kind of aligns more with the fall, but I do really enjoy this artist. I have all of her decks. This particular artist, what's her name? Giada Rose. And then I have the Letha one, which is the newer artist, because I was drawn to that deck more for the summer than I was the Lammas, which represents more towards like the end of summer, and it has more of like those burnt colors of the vegetation that's been out in the sun for much longer. So the Yule one to me represents more of the winter energies that I experience. Although I'm tempted to get the Imbolc one because my birthday, I guess, aligns more towards Imbolc because my birthday's on the 9th of March. And it represents my daughter's birthday as well, as she's an Aquarius. So I'm kind of tempted to get that one, but I don't feel that I need it, to be honest. It's I work really well with the 4 decks that I already have, and I align them to the 4 seasons. So that's just my little spiel on this deck and this deck series. So now I have some tarot decks. I like to work my glamour magic with these 2 tarot decks. They're both created by Julia Jeffrey. They're both Llewellyn decks. This is the Witch Sister Tarot. Both of them have nudity, I'm pretty sure. I know the Witch Sister Tarot definitely does. So these are my witchcraft or spiritual practice. They're my, they assist me in spell crafting. And I like to create my glamour magic using the colors that I'm drawn to from these decks, particularly the Witch Sister, as well as the next one I'm going to show you, the Tarot of the Hidden Realms. I've actually been pulling from this deck more recently, and I'm having a really enjoyable experience. I'm spell crafting with this deck. I find it incredible. It's a lot of fun to play with. I love the colors too. I love to create makeup looks using the colors that I'm really drawn to in the cards from this deck. And I'm having a really enjoyable experience with this deck. So finally, this is a new deck to my collection, but it's something that I felt called to working with in my spiritual practice working with color and glamour magic. It's the Secret Language of Color cards. And I'm really good with rainbow, like your 7 colors, your rainbow colors. This one though incorporates more colors than just your rainbow. So I'm curious and interested to see what color combinations and how, like what color combinations I can work with and how I can use them in my spells, in my glamour magic. And I'm interested to create more color correspondences as well using the, I guess, the combinations of colors that you can create. If that makes any sense. But I have to say I'm really curious to play around with this deck. I'm curious to get to know it. It's glossy cardstock and it's from a company I've never heard of, Beyond Worlds. And a Tria paperback. Glossy cardstock, it's like a thicker cardstock. Look at the backings, that's really neat. But I do enjoy working with color energetically, and that's how I plan on using this deck, as well as just creating more color correspondences using more than just your 7 colors of the rainbow. So really interested to get to know this deck on a very intimate level and bringing it into my color magic, glamour magic practice. And I think it's time. I haven't felt called to purchasing a deck like this until recently, because I felt satisfied just working with the 7 colors. And creating my color correspondences based off of that. But now I think I'm ready to move to this level where I am, I guess, adding more color correspondences to my arsenal. So I hope you found this video interesting. I think it's kind of interesting. I do like watching these types of videos. I'm curious about how other people practice and how they use their tools too. I think it's really interesting personally. And I'm interested to know what you think of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.